When Prigozhin was marching toward Moscow to have a talk with Putin, the Russian president was nowhere to be found in the country's capital. He'd fled the Kremlin to hide in his luxurious palace fort in Valdai. This is a common occurrence. When Ukraine launched its drone attack on the Russian capital, Putin was again not in the capital, but rather in his luxury palace. Luckily, all the details about the palace are public, all thanks to this guy. Alexei Navalny, a prominent Russian opposition leader and anti-corruption activist who was also a fierce critic of President Vladimir Putin, released a shocking expose on YouTube titled "Putins Palace: The Story of the World's Biggest Bribe." The video took the internet by storm and quickly went viral, racking up an astonishing 133 million views as of now. In this video, Navalny exposed details about Putin that shocked the entire world. The grand estate became a symbol of corruption and excess, and Navalny's investigation brought to light how Putin allegedly used illegal means to amass wealth and live in unparalleled luxury, all at the expense of ordinary Russians. It's like a small country all on its own, within Russia. But this is no ordinary palace. It's one of the most heavily guarded places on this planet, and after the recent Ukrainian invasion of Russian territory and increased aerial attacks, the security has heightened to a level that no ordinary person can even imagine. So let's understand, what details did Navalny expose that became a huge embarrassment for Putin? Why is this place called the symbol of corruption? And what makes this one of the most impenetrable fortresses in the world? But before we begin, we don't know how well this video will do on YouTube because some people are gonna hate the harsh truth we're gonna expose in this video, and so they might try to take this video down by killing its reach. And you know who we're talking about. But you can prevent this from happening by just clicking on the like button below and signal the algorithm that it's a genuine video. So, let's begin. In the heart of Russia's southern coast, where the Black Sea meets the stunning landscapes of Gelendzhik, lies a grand and mysterious estate, Vladimir Putin's Palace. This isn't just any home. It's a powerful symbol of wealth and authority. This is Russia's most secretive and heavily guarded facility, 39 times the size of Monaco. That's not an exaggeration. It's not just a country house or a cottage. It's like an entire city, or even a kingdom. There are massive fences, its own port, a private security force, a church, a unique pass system, a no-fly zone, and even a border checkpoint. It's like a small country all on its own within Russia. And at the heart of this mini-state is its one and only ruler, Vladimir Putin. He frequently spends most of his time in this palace with his family and billionaire friends. If you try to picture the true size of Vladimir Putin's palace, you'll be amazed by this vast piece of land. It's so enormous that it's hard to grasp just how big it really is. But here's the thing. There was never any real sale of this palace. The whole thing is a tricky setup, made to look like it was sold through fake transactions and a big media campaign. In reality, the only person who's owned this grand estate from the start to now is Vladimir Putin himself. But Putin's grand Black Sea palace isn't his only impressive property. He owns 4 other palaces in different parts of Russia and beyond. These include luxury estates in Sochi, Valdai, and the Kremlin, as well as lavish residence in Marbella. Out of these 4 known palaces, the Black Sea Palace stands out as the largest, most extravagant, and the most controversial one. Recently, there's been news that Vladimir Putin's Valdai Palace has become a fortress in response to a surge in Ukrainian drone strikes. Recent satellite images from May 6, 2024 reveal a massive security upgrade with multiple Panzer S-1 air defense systems and an S-400 system now surrounding the estate. The Institute for the Study of War, or ISW, reports that these added defenses are a reaction to Ukraine's persistent drone attacks, which have forced Moscow to prioritize air defense for high-value targets like Putins Palace. The images also show a new Panzer S-1 system on Ryabinovaya Island near the estate, enhancing the area's protection. However, the focus on Valdai has strained defenses elsewhere, including in St. Petersburg, according to the Russian Telegram channel VCHK-OGPU. Now, before we get into that, I quickly wanted to answer a question we recently got asked. A lot of you guys want to start a YouTube channel, but you're camera shy or just not comfortable putting your face out there. In fact, this channel's a perfect example, and that's why this channel has no face on it. Luckily, you can still grow on YouTube even without showing your face or giving up your privacy. This channel's living proof of that. In fact, here are just a few examples of channels that started in the last 12 months and grew an audience without showing their face. They've gotten millions of views and made thousands of dollars from them. We recently crossed 1 million subscribers, and along the way, we've learned a few tips and tricks about YouTube that can be helpful to any of you who want to start your channel. We've included all of this in my completely free 7-day YouTube Crash Bootcamp. So if you're someone who's interested in starting a YouTube channel, this is the perfect starting point for you. What better way to convince you than to read a comment left by a previous student? This free bootcamp is better than a paid course he took. So if you're interested in signing up, you can sign up now for free by clicking on the link in the description or scanning the QR code on screen. They report a shortage of equipment to detect and intercept small air targets. Rumors from independent Russian media suggest that Putin shares this heavily guarded retreat with his partner, Alina Kabeva, and their young children. The estate, which has been closed to visitors since Pryek's revelations, is protected by federal security forces with violators facing severe penalties. The first air defense system at Valdai was spotted in January 2023, and since then, a complete defensive ring has been established. The exclusion zone around the palace now covers an area larger than the Isle of Wight and Malta combined, reflecting its importance and the lengths taken to protect it. We'll dive into the details of these 4 palaces in the video ahead, exploring each one of Putin's impressive residences. Coming back to the greatest palace of Putin at Black Sea, if you take a look inside this palace, you might start to wonder about Putin's state of mind. The luxury and wealth on display are so extreme that it seems like he's obsessed with them. The palace doesn't just show off riches. It makes it clear that Putin has a deep obsession with living in the lap of luxury. On top of that, we'll also expose the details about the huge corruption that's linked to Putin and the palace. But before that, let's go over the humongous size and the grandeur of the palace. Here's how it looks. The documents reveal that Putin's palace is the largest private home in Russia, covering an astonishing 17,691 square meters, or almost 200,000 square feet. To put that into perspective, it's about the size of 3 football fields put together. For a long time, people were puzzled by the shape of this enormous estate, which looked like a strange hill from the distance. It wasn't until Navalny examined old satellite images and the mystery started to clear up. What he discovered was surprising. Underneath that hill, there's a huge rectangular structure with rounded corners, about the size of a hockey rink. It turns out they essentially buried a grand palace underground the size of a 5-story building. The whole place has a bunker-like style that's hard to miss. On the estate, there's a charming church, adding a touch of serenity to the grandeur of the place. There's also a massive greenhouse that covers 2,500 square meters, or 27,000 square feet, where around 40 gardeners work tirelessly to keep the plants in perfect condition. But that's not all. The estate boasts a huge 80-meter-long bridge. In any other part of Russia, such a bridge would be a major event. But here, it's simply a practical addition. The bridge leads to a tea house, which itself is an impressive 27,000 square feet. This spacious tea house provides plenty of room for enjoying a leisurely tea, making it a unique feature of this already extraordinary place. Images show a few utility buildings and a dormitory where the lower-level staff like security guards and shift workers live. Right next to these buildings is the heart of the entire estate, the headquarters building. This is where the main managers run everything. In fact, there's also a special tunnel built by the same experts who work on metro systems. This unique tunnel serves two important purposes. It not only provides an easy route to the sea, but also offers a safe haven in case of an emergency, like a war or an attack. It's a mindful addition that ensures both convenience and security for Putin. And guess what? Even this tunnel has a fascinating hidden feature. Notice the small door in the second picture? It leads to a tasting room, cleverly disguised as part of a mountain. Inside, there's a large window offering breathtaking views of the sea. It's not just a regular balcony, but a secure underground space where safety's guaranteed. The area beneath the massive palace complex covers 68 hectares, but the total territory of the estate is actually about 100 times larger. Adjacent to this is a 7,000-hectare plot of land owned by the FSB, Russia's security agency. In September 2020, this entire area was leased to the company that owns the palace, and it will be rented out until 2068. This land is used for research, education, hunting, and fishing, adding even more exclusivity to the estate. The main reason for leasing this enormous plot of land, which is 3.5 times larger than the nearby town of Gelendzhik, is to create a protective barrier around Putin's palace. The 7,000-hectare area around the palace is controlled by the FSB, Russia's security agency. On top of that, no one can get near Putin's palace from the air either. There's an official no-fly zone known as URP-116 covering the area. Controlling the no-fly zone is like saying either the United Nations or the FSB's Border Directorate for Krasnodar Krai is in charge. I hope you understand the sarcasm. Inside the palace, on the basement level, Putin enjoys a range of luxurious features. There's a spa area with a massage room, a beauty salon, a spa capsule, and a hairdresser. For water relaxation, there's a massive pool, plus saunas, hammams, and various bathing bowls. The basement also includes spaces for staff like doctors, managers, and cooks. It even has dressing rooms for waiters and various shops for meat, fish, vegetables, baking, and egg processing. One of the more unusual rooms is a dirt warehouse, which is 18 square meters. There's also a cocktail hall that leads to a home cinema, a tasting room, and a wine cellar. On the first floor of the palace, you'll find the main areas designed for luxury and grand entertaining. Spacious halls are perfect for hosting and impressing guests. There are elegant spaces like a reading room and a music lounge, providing plenty of options for entertainment and relaxation. Moving to the second floor, you'll discover a number of guest bedrooms, including Putin's private suite. This floor also features a beautiful winter garden and several relaxation rooms. In this place, there's a room labeled Small Dining Room on the plans. The furniture is from Citerio Atena, a super exclusive Italian brand that sells custom pieces. The chest of drawers has a label from the company Pozzoli. You'll be surprised to know that one of the most expensive pieces in Putin's palace is a table, priced at $43,146. In fact, in Putin's palace, a leather sofa costs a staggering 2 million rubles or $20,540. The hallways feature slightly less impressive sofas, priced around 1.4 million rubles, likely intended for guests. It seems Putin has quite a penchant for sofas. There are 47 of them throughout his palace. One of the standout pieces is a table with a built-in bar, purchased for 4 million rubles. There are also more modest items, like a dressing table that costs 2 million rubles. There's a hookah bar and large swimming pool for the healthy lifestyle of Putin on the second floor of the palace, where Putin's private quarters are located. This isn't just a bedroom. It's a luxurious space like the grandest homes in Europe. Putin's bedroom alone spans 260 square meters, or 2,800 square feet, showcasing luxurious design and unmatched scale. Back in 2010, St. Petersburg businessman Sergei Kolesnikov made headlines by publishing an open letter, calling on President Medvedev to address Putin's corruption. Kolesnikov, involved in the palace construction, revealed detailed information about the project, where it was built, who funded it, and how offshore companies and bearer shares were used. He even provided documents, contracts, and audio recordings of conversations between builders and sponsors. These revelations were among the most significant and authentic ever released. In the early 2000s, Nikolai Shamalov, a friend of the Putin family and future matchmaker, approached Petromed with a personal proposal from Putin. At that time, Putin had just been elected president and was looking for ways to generate additional income. The proposal from Putin was, unsurprisingly, steeped in corruption. Here's how it worked. Influential oligarchs like Abramovich and Mordashov were asked to make substantial donations to Petromed. The idea was that Petromed would use this money for medical purposes, such as upgrading hospitals and buying new equipment. But there was a catch. A significant 35% of these donations were funneled into a special offshore account. This offshore company was registered with bearer shares, meaning it wasn't officially registered under any name. Whoever held the shares was considered the owner. Out of this offshore account, Shamalov, Gorolov, and Kolesnikov each received 2% of the shares, while a whopping 94% went to Putin. In these dealings, Putin was often referred to as Mikhail Ivanovich for the sake of secrecy. In 2005, Vladimir Putin, who was the head of the Presidential Property Management Department and a longtime friend of Putin from his days in St. Petersburg, signed an agreement for a new project in Gelendzhik. Officially, it was for a year-round children's sports and health camp. However, this was just a cover. The real plan was to build a lavish dacha/cottage. The company behind this, Liris, was jointly owned by three people: Nikolai Shamalov, Dmitry Gorolov, and Sergei Kolesnikov. At first, Rosinvest was busy with a variety of investment projects, but things quickly changed. Nikolai Shamalov, Putin's main contact and the person who had the Gelendzhik Palace registered in his name, made a bold decision. He ordered all Rosinvest projects to be halted except for one: the palace. All available funds were redirected to the construction of this massive, lavish estate. By this time, hundreds of millions of dollars had already been spent on the palace, and the final cost was projected to be even higher. The estimated budget for the palace's construction reached a staggering $1 billion. To handle the growing scandal and divert public attention, a clever scheme was put into play. The story was spun that the palace was bought by businessman Alexander Ponomarenko. Ponomarenko is a longtime partner of Putin's judo friends the Rodenbergs and was known for his involvement in real estate and for co-owning Sheremetyevo Airport with them. Ponomarenko played along with the narrative, giving several interviews where he claimed, "Yes, I bought this for myself. I plan to build a hotel here." He even confirmed to journalists that he had purchased the palace from Shamalov for around $350 million. To add an extra layer of cover, he said the transaction was registered through a Cyprus offshore company. This strategy was designed to keep the real story hidden while giving the impression of a legitimate private deal. When Navalny dug into the financial statements of the offshore company, he uncovered a surprising detail. Looking at the records from 2011, it was clear that the palace had indeed been purchased, but not for the reported $350 million. Instead, the actual purchase price was a mere $350,000, or about 10 million rubles at the time. That's roughly the cost of a two-room apartment on the outskirts of Moscow. This revealed that the deal was a complete sham. No real money had changed hands. Instead, they had just appointed a wealthy figure, Alexander Ponomarenko, to be the supposed owner of the palace near Gelendzhik. The whole transaction was a facade designed to cover up the true ownership. The offshore company, which was listed as the official owner of the palace, was represented by a proxy named Ivan Serdatov. In a twist of fate, Bolat Zakharyanov, who was then the director of the palace's management company, was later appointed by Putin to head the main public catering department for the presidential administration. Meanwhile, Tatyana Kuznetsova, the wife of Oleg Kuznetsova, who was the acting head of the Federal Security Service's Military Unit 1473 during the palace's construction, saw her husband's unit renamed to the more straightforward Department for the Operation of Property of State Security Bodies. This military unit had been involved in the Palace project as a so-called customer developer, showing how deeply intertwined the construction was with various levels of government and security services. In the tangled web of Putin's palace ownership, there are even more connections to unravel. Inna Kolpakova, the wife of Alexander Kolpakov, played a significant role. Alexander Kolpakov was the head of the B Department of the Russian Presidential Security Service, responsible for building and managing residences for the head of state. Today, Kolpakov has risen to become the head of the affairs of President Vladimir Putin himself. Ivan Serdatov, who was the proxy representing the offshore company that owned the palace, was a young lawyer at the firm Egorov, Puginsky, Afanasyev and Partners back then. In 2015, 4 grand 1,000-meter-long houses sprang up side by side on the Golenchik embankment. The first was given to manager Tatyana Kuznetsova. The second went to Alexander Kolpakov's father-in-law. The third was claimed by the palace's architect Lafranco Cirillo. And the fourth, the most impressive of the lot, was handed to the son of Bolat Zakaryanov. But the real estate empire doesn't end there. Putin's holdings include a staggering 7,800 hectares of land, which encompasses nearly 300 hectares of vineyards spread across 4 locations. His property portfolio features a chateau, wineries, and oyster farms. The vineyard landscape alone reveals how expansive this empire is. Close to the palace, the company Lazernaya Yagoda owns 29 hectares of vineyard land. Further out, in the village of Divnomorskoy, another 186 hectares are dedicated to vineyards. In 2010, Lazernaya Yagoda received 32 hectares of this land as a property, with an additional 150 hectares leased, showcasing just how deeply intertwined Putin's wealth is with these sprawling estates. The flow of money for the construction of Putin's Grand Palace is a tale of intricate financial maneuvers and hidden transactions. The funds for this opulent project started with 3 companies, whose money was carefully mixed and then funneled into the company Top Art Construction. This company, responsible for paying most of the bills for the palace, was managed by a well-known figure in Kremlin circles, Asya Lvovna Borisova. Asya Lvovna is a key player in Kremlin contracts, registered under her son's name, but very much under her control. Her company, UK Credo, was renowned for high-profile projects, like the restoration of the Constantine Palace in Strelna and the construction and repair of Putin's residences in Valdai and Sochi. Over a few years, Borisova's 4 companies handled more than 10 billion rubles, making her a major economic force in Golenchik, all the while servicing the palace. Over 3 years, Transneft Structures transferred a colossal 4.2 billion rubles to the account of the company owning the palace. So just how much did Putin's palace near Golenchik cost in the end? It's a difficult question, because such extravagant properties with their rock-carved tunnels and underground hockey rinks aren't typically listed for sale. However, we can estimate a minimum cost based on the funds spent. A staggering 100 billion rubles, or around 1.02 billion US dollars. But is this all that Putin owns? Absolutely not. The other palaces we mentioned are not short of a spectacle. In the heart of Moscow, Russia, the Grand Kremlin Palace stands as a historic fortress, symbolizing Russian power for centuries. This sprawling complex covers approximately 27.5 hectares or 68 acres and is surrounded by a robust wall stretching nearly 2.2 kilometers or 1.4 miles. The fortress is adorned with 20 impressive towers, reflecting its formidable history. The Kremlin is not a single building, but a collection of significant structures. Among the most notable is the Grand Kremlin Palace, built between 1837 and 1849. Originally intended as the residence for Russian Tsars, it now serves as the official residence and office of the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The palace is renowned for its opulent design and ornate interiors, reflecting its imperial heritage. Inside the Kremlin, several stunning cathedrals add to its historical grandeur. The Assumption Cathedral, a prominent feature, served as the main church for Russian Tsars and hosted many crucial ceremonies, including Tsar coronations. Another key structure is the Ivan the Great Bell Tower, which stands 81 meters or 266 feet tall. making it one of the tallest buildings in the Kremlin. Historically, the Kremlin has been the epicenter of Russian power. It was the seat of the Grand Duchy of Moscow and later the Russian Empire. During the Soviet era, it became the center of Soviet governance, and it continues to be the official residence and workplace of the Russian president today. The Kremlin's walls have witnessed pivotal events, including the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. Security at the Kremlin is exceptionally robust. The Federal Protective Service of Russia manages the fortress's security, ensuring that access is strictly controlled. Only a limited number of guided tours and official visits are permitted, making it one of the most secure sites in Russia. Overall, the Kremlin is much more than a historic monument. It embodies Russia's rich history and ongoing political significance. Its impressive architecture and deep historical roots make it an iconic symbol of Russian identity and power. The third palace is currently in the news, and the reason is Ukraine. How, you may ask? Well, this is the reason.
A Ukrainian drone attack destroyed an ammunition depot in the western Russian region of Tver, a source from Ukraine's security service told CNN. Videos circulating on social media, verified by CNN, show loud detonations and multiple buildings in the depot complex on fire. Governor Igor Rodinya ordered a partial evacuation of the area to get the blazes under control, according to the local government's official Telegram channel post. The drones targeted the Russian Defense Ministry-operated warehouse in Toropets, where tactical missile systems, aerial bombs, and artillery were stored, the security source told CNN. Russian state news agency TASS reports no civilians are thought to have been injured in the drone attack. The Ukrainian security source told CNN that attacks of this nature are being used methodically to reduce Russia's missile potential. Plans for further attacks on similar Russian military facilities are proceeding, according to the source.
Ukraine has launched aerial strikes deep into Russian territory. Kiev is also intensifying its efforts to gain approval from its Western partners to use longer-range missiles for deep strikes within Russian territory. Behind the scenes, it's likely that this approval's already been granted. These strikes have put Russia on high alert, and one of the measures they've taken is increasing security for Putin. Putins Palace on Lake Valdai, also known as Valdai Palace, is a luxurious residence located on a private island in the Valdai Hills, about 300 kilometers northwest of Moscow. The estate covers 17 hectares or 42 acres and is situated right on the shore of Lake Valdai, known for its beautiful and peaceful setting. The palace itself is grand and includes several additional buildings, such as guest houses and recreational facilities. The main building features elegant Russian-style architecture mixed with modern luxury. Inside, the palace has high ceilings, elaborate chandeliers, and stylish furnishings. The estate also has a private pier for lake access and beautifully maintained gardens. Security at the Valdai Palace is very tight, and in fact increased to a large extent, especially the air defense systems. The entire area is heavily guarded with advanced security systems and strict access controls. This ensures that the palace remains private and secure. The palace has attracted significant attention and controversy. Reports and investigations have detailed the palace's high cost and questioned where the funding came from. It's estimated that building the palace cost hundreds of millions of dollars, which has raised concerns about corruption. Another palace that has raised questions about potential connections to corruption is the Grand Palace of Marbella. Putins Palace in Marbella, often referred to as the Marbella Palace, is an expensive property located in the prestigious area of Marbella on Spain's Costa del Sol. This luxurious estate reportedly covers around 30,000 square meters, which is approximately 7.4 acres, and has extensive gardens, private pools, and high-end amenities. The palace, situated in a region known for its affluent residents and stunning views, is rumored to be one of several high-profile properties linked to Russian elite figures. The Marbella Palace is known for its grandeur and sophistication. The estate includes a large main residence with numerous rooms, including multiple bedrooms, expansive living areas, and lavish dining spaces. The property is also said to have been designed with a Mediterranean style, featuring classical architecture combined with modern luxury. High walls and private security ensure the estate remains private and secure. Investigations have linked the property to Russian oligarchs and possibly to Vladimir Putin's close associates. The lavish nature of the estate and its high value, estimated to be in the tens of millions of euros, has raised questions about potential connections to corruption and illicit wealth. Security around the Marbella Palace is very tight. The property is equipped with advanced surveillance systems and has restricted access to ensure the privacy and safety of its occupants. The high level of security reflects the importance and value of the estate. But in the end, the true story behind these palaces may never be fully revealed. And you can imagine why.